Jordan Peterson is the best you can get. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my show. This is Hire Bunch of Fire Bunches. Let's get it going. Let's get it on fire, right? Welcome back to my show. And, well, as you guys might know, today's episode is going to be about Dr. Peterson, Mr. Jordan Peterson's very famous psychologic and also social behavior professor. I'm going to have his Wikipedia link below. Let me check my motion capture stuff. Yeah, link below and or above. So either way. And we're gonna talk about on one of his most recent podcasts with the famous Joe Rogan. And but first of all, well, this is my YouTube handler. If you guys not watching my videos right now on YouTube, go ahead and go to YouTube. Check my handler, check my channel, make sure you subscribe, okay? Subscribe and share. And back to Jordan Peterson. So he made the the most recent appearances on Joe Rogan's podcast. So in part of the episode is actually about his reaction and his vision on one of the questions we have been going on for a couple of times. The succeeds, okay? The secrets to be succeed and secrets of being success. Usually developed by the interview question of, okay, how do you give me a time that you solve a difficult question, right? Give me a time that you solve a difficult question, or give me a time that you solve or fix a conflict, right? I will have those episodes flashes on right here. You're gonna check it and also have the episode link down below. So let's see how his answers to such a question. Well, attention though, disclaim. This is not going to be a formal, like regular interview answer to an interview question, but his answer, his content, what he's going to say will definitely gonna inspire you on how you react to such a question, and maybe give you a little bit hints on how to answer this question. So let's go ahead and check Joe Rogan. So let's see. This is a part of his episode, and we're gonna take a look at first part of this episode. I think it's 2 or 3 minutes.
The way we define success is power and money. Like those are like you look how successful they are.
Yeah,
power and money, but a complete absence of love and trust and respect and
well, it's
first of all, no sponsorship, right?
Mm-hmm.
Human dignity.
Well, it's also not really how people operate. So there's an anthropological literature on the formation of elders in say. Traditional societies, because you might ask yourself, who becomes an elder? And if you were a Marxist cynic, you'd say, well, those who used exploitation to dominate, like the priestly class or something like that. And that goes along with the supposition that, religion is the opiate of the masses. And some of that's obviously true, but a lot of it isn't. The elders aren't that at all. They're the people who others go to spontaneously to ask for counsel.
Yeah.
And then you ask, well, who do people naturally gravitate towards for counsel? And the answer is, well, productive, generous people who've managed their interpersonal relationships well. Because who the hell else would you go ask for advice if you had any sense? Like you might go ask the local dictator and kowtow to him if you need a favor to take somebody out. But if you're actually asking for counsel, you're going to ask someone who's decent and who's generous and who plays a reciprocal game. And
correct.
It's also the case. This is worth knowing too.
This is part of his definition of being success or being succeed and of success. Basically, he said the symbol of people that have success is actually the people that what was we saying? Not local dictator, but very good at networking, will have a complicated networks that make everything smooth and can achieve success, rather than the alpha. Yeah, and he's gonna make a very good metaphor of defining success. Well, let's go back a little bit.
Their interpersonal relationships well, because who the hell else would you go ask for
interpersonal relationship well, right?
advice if you had any sense? Like, you might go ask the local dictator and kowtow to him if you need a favor to take somebody out, but if you're actually asking for counsel, you're going to ask someone who's decent and who's generous and who plays a reciprocal game. And it's also the case, this is worth knowing too, the problem with a power game is that it's not playable, not in the final analysis. So Frans de Waal, the Dutch primatologist, has showed even pretty clearly in chimpanzees, you think the roughest, toughest.
Okay, this is the good part. He's using metaphor of chimpanzees. Which one chimpanzee defines success? Which one defines not, but look like success or look like alpha?
Chimpanzee rules the damn roost, and he pounds everybody flat, and he gets access to the females. And there's a little bit of truth to that, because female chimps aren't sexually choosy, but the male chimps will chase weaker males away from them. And so if you are more powerful physically as a male chimp, you do have preferential mating access. But the problem with being a brute, even if you're a chimp, is that you have an off day and two of the chimps that you oppressed band together and tear you into pieces. So what de Waal found was that in chimp troops, the stable alpha can sometimes even be the smallest male of the troop. He'll ally himself with some of the dominant females and makes networks that are essentially friendships, reciprocal friendships. And that gives him a stable position, not of power, but of authority. And that's definitely the case in functional human societies. It's not based on power. Now, it's tricky because if it degenerates, then it degenerates into a relationship of power.
Right.
And so that means the critics who make the claim that everything's about power are right in some sense when they're talking about nothing but corruption, but they're really 100% seriously wrong about the idea that it's power relation that constitutes the basis for the organization of any social interaction. It doesn't work in your marriage, doesn't work with your friends, doesn't work with your children, doesn't work with your business partners, doesn't work with your customers. It doesn't work with politicians, although here's another twist that's complicated.
All right, well, good. Thank you, Dr. Peterson. So this is very interesting answer to this question. Basically, it's for success. It's not the most powerful one, but definitely the one that know how to play interpersonal relationship. So when you've been asked this question, you don't have to be, answering that. Oh, I'm the best people in my team, or I'm the best person. I'm the number one player, ace cards in my previous job. But you have to give them some example of, A, you're important. B, you have probably most functional role in this team, and C, you solving problems, right? Yeah. So cool. That's the first interview that the Dr. Peterson have, and the other interview I want to share with you guys is, I think, is more interesting, because this is actually telling you the tips of interview, right? So you didn't know, right? So let's get on it. The
Dr. Peterson.
Right. The title is How to Ace Job Interview.
For medicine coming up very soon. It's structured in the MMI format, and it's intensely competitive. Any tips on how to stand out from the rest? Well,
all right. So there's an audience asking how any things you can do, or any tips that they could do to stand out from the candidates for medical school or doctor position, right? Let's see.
Well, the only thing I could say is that two things. One is really pay attention to the interviewers, right? Super attention. Like, don't glare at them like you're aggressively paranoid, but like, make sure you're focused on them.
Focus.
And then the other thing I would say is say what you really think. Like, tell the truth. It'll make you... Yep. First of all, if you tell the truth and it doesn't work, then, maybe that's not the school for you. That's something to really think about.
Yep.
And if it doesn't work anywhere and you tell the truth, maybe medicine isn't for you. And I know that might be a terrible shock. But let's assume that you are genuinely, properly motivated to study medicine. Then tell them what you think. So many people, when they go into an interview, and they do this when they write essays too, is try to tell the interviewers what you think they want to hear. But you can bloody well be sure that virtually everybody who's being interviewed is going to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's very advisable, because if you don't manifest yourself the way you are, then there's no way that the path that's proper for you can reveal itself. I know that sounds sort of mystical, but I don't know how to put it any better. The best way to stand out in an interview, always, assuming you're competent and that you've done the preparation, and that you're not living a lie, is to actually say what you think. And hopefully what will happen is that there will be other people on the panel that are looking at you who are of the same type. And that would characterize a good position for you, a good place to be if there are people like that. And they'll note what you're doing, and then they'll think, that person, they'd be good. They're straightforward. They're honest. They're tough. They can say what they think. And if there aren't people like that on the panel, then I would say you probably don't want to go there anyways. So that's what I would do. Be true to yourself, but that also assumes that you've done your homework and that you're preparing all of that, because if you're a useless jackass and you're yourself, well, obviously that isn't going to work. So good luck with your interview. But I always think that, like, the other thing too is, don't treat the interviewers as enemies. And that's hard, because if you're kind of petrified about the potential outcome and you feel intense judgment, then you're likely to go in there kind of afraid and nervous and maybe even resentful. It's like, you've already done enough so that you're going to get interviewed. So in some sense, the interviewers are hoping that you'll be great already. There might be the odd cynic in there who's trying to figure out a reason to give you an X and check you off the list. But most of the people sitting there, if they have a clue, are going to be looking for good candidates. And they're going to assume that you've hit threshold. And so it's not like they're not on your side. And so that's a good thing to keep in mind too. You're not going in there to face a panel of enemies. You're going in there to face a panel of the sort of people that you're likely to be in 10 years. So that's another thing that's really useful to keep in mind with interviews in general, I would say. So,
great job. All right, that's it. Well, I think that's interesting. So basically, that's very important tips. As we always said, first of all, be true to yourself. Second of all, don't treat your interviewee or interviewed as enemy. And thirdly, I want to add it is that do your homework. research. So pretty much he's been covering all we have along the content progress that I have worked on ever since the first day of my channel. So basically, be true to yourself is covered in the 100 interview question list that I did. And also how to treat your interviewers, how do you see yourself communicating with your HR, with your hiring manager. That's how to research, how to reach out to your hiring manager episode. And more often, which that I added, how to research the company or your hiring team. That all I will put link down below so you guys can see it. Correct? All right. Awesome. So, well, I need to thank you again, Mr. Peterson or Dr. Peterson, to have a debut, quote unquote, on today's episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and learned something from Dr. Peterson. Of course, I'm gonna put these two interview links down below. But hey, man, giveaway opportunity. Leave comments below, dislike or like for anything like your most difficult interview questions, tough situations, or something you want to know about me, or anything else that I didn't talk about during the content or my channel videos. Let me know. So again, this is Ram, Hire Bunch of Fire Bunch. I'll see you when I see you for the next episode. Peace out.